Cole Sear is a troubled 9-year-old boy. He has no friends, his parents are divorced, and the only person he can talk to is Dr. Malcolm Crowe, a disgraced child psychologist who sees Cole as a way to redeem himself. But Cole has a terrifying gift. He can see and talk to the dead, to ghosts that he sees walking around him at all times. But the only way Cole can make peace with his situation is to hear these ghosts out and help them through their pain in the 1999 horror phenomenon, The Sixth Sense. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
I'm Julie Cervantes.
And this is Filmgazm. Happy Wednesday and welcome to episode 125 of the Filmgazm podcast. I'm joined today by Julie Cervantes, the only person on earth who didn't know about the Sixth Sense big twist, but that's changed, and we'll get to that in a bit. The Sixth Sense is one of the most successful horror movies of the 90s, was nominated for a bunch of Oscars, and remains the best film by the divisive M. Night Shyamalan. Once again, there is no rewind this week, so let's jump in with both feet. Julie, the listeners may not know this, but I don't pick the films for this show anymore. I leave it up to you and Josh, and I'm just along for the ride. So, Julie, why did you choose The Sixth Sense?
Well, just for the fact that we were talking about it in a different episode, and you're like, there's a twist. And then I was like, there's a twist. And you're like, what are you talking? You don't know what it is? I'm like, no. And yeah, so I was just like, I thought The Sixth Sense was just like a basic ghost movie. I didn't think anything of it. I thought it was one of those movies that you don't really have to see. But like, I think now like it is. But anyway, I wanted to watch it just to see why my parents have that movie in their collection, because they're like Christian and everything. And they don't have a lot of horror or thrillers in their collection. So if they have that one, then maybe it's probably good then. So yeah.
Well, this film kind of straddles the line. A lot of people don't really consider this to be a horror movie. I don't know if I do label it a horror movie because it's got, I mean, there's some scary scenes in this movie, but I think it's a very compelling drama too. And I'm blown away that this is by the same guy who would go on to make so many shitty movies. I don't know what happened to this guy. M. Night Shyamalan was a promising up-and-comer in 99. He had a string of good movies, and then somewhere around the mid-2000s, something changed, and he couldn't fix it. I don't know what happened. But we'll dig into that. So The Sixth Sense was written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Burst onto the movie scene with this film, had many critics calling him the next Hitchcock, which was pretty high praise. Shyamalan was nominated for Best Director and Best Screenplay for this film, which he would follow with a string of hits like Unbreakable, Signs, and The Village, before everything fell apart for his reputation with Lady in the Water, The Happening, The Last Airbender, and After Earth, all of which were massacred by fans and critics alike. He gained a bit of momentum in the mid-2010s with The Visit and Split, but everything fell apart again with Glass in 2019. So here's hoping his new film, Old, which comes out in the fall, will be a good one. Have you seen any of those movies? Any other things by M. Night?
I've seen Split and After Earth, and I really liked those movies. So like, I just think I can see why people wouldn't like After Earth, because it's like basic, but I'm like I love sci-fi, so like anything that's sci-fi, I'm gonna like it no matter what, even if it's crappy. So like, I like Split as well. What did you think of that movie?
I loved Split. I thought that was a brilliant movie, especially the end when it was revealed to be a secret sequel to Unbreakable. That blew my mind. But I think I think he has talent. I think he's a very good filmmaker. I think he lets his ego control his decisions. And when you do that, you end up with bad movies. Because from what I've seen, he's responsible for one of the scariest moments of my life with Signs. I mean,
Oh
I've
yeah.
talked about that on this podcast a lot when I saw Signs of the movies with my parents and the alien walked across the screen and I freaked the fuck out.
Yeah, I remember seeing Signs with my parents. It wasn't in theaters, it was at home on DVD or something. And I was really intrigued by how slow it was because it was like building up to this creature. And when it finally hit the creature, like I was like I was sweating because I was like nervous. It's like shit, what's it gonna look like? And it was really creepy and like in the music and everything, it just like made it even more creepy. So I love that movie. I love the acting in it. The acting is amazing.
Yeah, Signs is a favorite. It's one of, I think, the most realistic alien movies I've ever seen. Like when, and I mean when, this planet is invaded by aliens, I feel like it's gonna feel like that. It's gonna
Yeah.
be subtle little things and on the news, people kind of concerned, weird lights, and then just overnight invasion. Like silent invasion. Yeah, that movie fucked with my head for a long time.
Yeah, I think the creature, I don't know how the creature would look. I mean, it could look like that because humans look weird. Like we look like aliens to like other aliens, so it could look like anything.
Yeah, we'll see. Have you heard I don't know if we've talked about this. All of the podcasts are starting to bleed together to me because I've done over, nearly 200 of these. But did I ever talk to you about the theory that it's not an alien invasion, it's in fact a demon invasion?
No.
It's a really cool theory because the whole movie's kind of based around faith. Mel Gibson's character is a former minister, lost his wife, lost his faith because of that. And then this invasion thing kind of reestablishes his faith. And there's little hints throughout that these aliens might actually be like demonic forces. Like, for example, the water that hurts them. There's an ongoing theory that it's not just water that hurts them, it's holy water that hurts them because it's water from the house of a minister.
Oh yeah, that's a really cool theory.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It kind of paints the whole movie in a different light, especially when, the whole thing's about, there is no such thing as coincidence. Fate is, leading everything up to this moment. It's weird to mix religious imagery and aliens, but it makes sense if it's religious imagery and demons. So it's a cool way to kind of look at that movie.
Yeah. I mean, aliens could be seen as demons.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe like symbolically, whatever's not in the Bible, aka aliens, is like ungodly. So aliens could be seen as demons.
I don't know. I don't have a lot of religious background. I just like movies. But M. Night is good at that. He's good at kind of bringing larger than life concepts down to a level where you can really kind of understand in a realistic way how it would happen. He does that with The Sixth Sense with ghosts. And he does it in Unbreakable with superheroes. So I think he's got really he's a great storyteller. He's got a talent, but he's been stepping on his own feet for God knows how long now, and he really needs a win. Bruce Willis stars as Dr. Malcolm Crowe, a child psychologist battling his own demons and struggling to save his marriage. Willis, known more for his action films, delivers a poignant and powerful performance far outside of his wheelhouse. I was very impressed. I mean, this is a guy who will take a paycheck for anything. I mean, he hasn't done a legit film in a very long time. So to see him kind of step out of his comfort zone and actually act is pretty cool. And I think he did an amazing job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did really good. He has a kind of slow personality, which kind of fits in. He's like less calming personality, so you could see him being like a psychologist, or he was a therapist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Some of Willis's other out of the box performances, because he's come up on this show before when Austin and I did The Fifth Element. We talked a bit about his action side. Some of his, out there performances include Death Becomes Her, Looper, Pulp Fiction, and Unbreakable, once again with M. Night
Oh my
Shyamalan.
god, he's in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Butch.
Those are so different in character. Wow. Okay. Wow. He's great.
Have you ever seen Death Becomes Her?
No.
I think you would really enjoy that movie. It's a black comedy about this horrible actress who's also a horrible person, played by Meryl Streep, who steals her best friend's husband, Bruce Willis, who's a plastic surgeon who drinks too much, loses his license, and ends up being like a mortician. And the ex, her name's Helen. She's played by Goldie Hawn. She concocts a plan of revenge to kill her best friend for constantly stealing her boyfriends. And it's such a layered movie. It's hilarious. There's also like they both die, but they took a potion that made them like eternally young. But because they died, they're slowly rotting away because they have eternal life, but they're dead. So it's a weird movie. It's a really tough to explain movie, but Bruce Willis is this just goofy plastic surgeon without a spine who's just kind of like, groveling the whole movie until he finally stands up for himself. And it's one of my favorites.
Well, I like Meryl Streep, so I mean, probably like it.
In this movie, she plays a bad actress, which is so weird.
So ironic.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do that on the show at some point. That'll be fun. Moving on, Oscar nominee Haley Joel Osment plays Cole Sear, the little boy who sees dead people. Osment was nominated for his role in The Sixth Sense and is one of the most popular child actors of the early 2000s, appearing in films such as AI, Artificial Intelligence, Forrest Gump, Pay It Forward, and Secondhand Lions. As an adult actor, he stayed mostly in the indie film scene, appearing in such films as Tusk, Entourage, and Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. He's also voiced Sora in the American version of all the Kingdom Hearts games. So he's had a very interesting career. As a child actor, he was incredibly recognizable. I See Dead People has become one of the most recognizable movie quotes of all time. But he grew up, and that's kind of the curse of child actors. You grow up, and most of them do. The roles tend to dry up, and he's grown up. And I don't want to, I don't like making fun of the way people look, but well, here we go. His face is really small. It's like everything grew up except his face.
Yeah.
So I get why he hasn't really taken off as an adult actor. Haley Joel, if you're listening to this, I apologize immediately. I'm a fan. I am.
I mean, are there any kid actors that grow up to be just as good as an adult?
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
It doesn't happen often. A lot of child actors end up with like trauma because of everything they go through in Hollywood. Parents who force them into the life or abuse from producers. It's dark. But some actors, escape that. Like, Ryan Gosling, Kurt Russell, they were, Mickey Mouse Club, Disney kids, and they grew up to become
Ryan Gosling, like a kid, because I remember him like as a teenager, but not like a kid.
Oh yeah, he was part of the Mickey Mouse Club, and he was like 7-8 years old. He was like in the industry from the beginning, and then he grew up handsome and talented, so he kept getting work.
Wow, well, I hope he's liking the stuff he's making.
Oh yeah, it's interesting to look at that. Kids who were super famous as children and then disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting topic for later. Oscar nominee Toni Collette plays Lynn Sear, Cole's struggling single mom. Collette was also nominated for her performance in The Sixth Sense and is an immensely talented actress who comes up quite a lot on this show. We've already done 4 of her films here and 1 on Oscar Sunday. Hereditary, Velvet Buzzsaw, Knives Out, Krampus, and Little Miss Sunshine. She's clearly a favorite of ours.
I love her. And like her acting has been consistent because I watched this movie and like I see the emotion she has in this movie like reflect in all her other films. I'm like, wow, she's kept the same amount of talent like since years ago. Like, why isn't she like, nominated or for an Oscar? Like, has she been? Like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, just once, and it was for The Sixth Sense.
Just once, damn.
Yeah, she should have won for Hereditary. I will preach that till the end of days. Like, that should have been her Oscar. I mean, holy shit. And she's just incredibly talented, and I respect the hell out of her. Like, over the course of this show, she's become one of my favorite actresses. I mean, I love that she always tends to play a mom. She just got that mom tone. I don't know what it is, but she always plays a mom.
Yeah, I mean, it's working well for her. Like, I don't know what other role she can use that amount of emotion for.
Well, in this, I mean, she steals the show in some scenes. I mean, it's believable. The scene at the end in the car where Cole is telling her about, grandma's proud of you. I have not watched that scene without bursting into tears. I have never been able to hold myself. Like, last night I was fine. That scene came on and I was like, oh shit. And I just fell apart. It's so powerful. Those two bring it so hard in that scene and you just feel it. Oh God.
Yeah, well, now I feel emotionless because I didn't shed a tear. Like, maybe just because I'm used to watching sad movies. Like, I don't know, I used to cry a lot with like Disney movies, especially Inside Out. Obviously, we talked about that. So I don't know. I guess they just really have to pull at my heart, like, to make me cry. But like, she did so well in that scene. Like, she stole the like all the the light in that scene, and then she also had the spotlight in the dinner scene or whatever when she's like, "Did you take grandma's?" It was a watch or necklace.
It was like a pendant, like a brooch, I think.
Oh yeah, she that was all her scene too. Like, she knows how to like gravitate the attention on her.
All right, I just want to bring this up. I am a very easy cry when it comes to movies. I get emotional really easily, and if the stars are aligned, if everything is working, if I can feel my heart being pulled by something, it's gonna, like, Niagara Falls is coming. It's awesome. I love that when a movie can do that to me, when a movie can legitimately elicit an emotional response, then I'm immediately like, that was a great movie. And I've had that happen, like episodes of TV shows. I mean, it's rare, but it does happen. There was an X-Files episode that destroyed me.
Mm-hmm.
The Supernatural series finale, I've never cried harder in my life. Like, it hits you sometimes. It's a good, it reminds me that I'm human and I'm not a sociopath.
I think for me, what makes me cry is like innocence, because if it's an adult that's like crying, I don't really feel bad for that. If it's like a child or like someone that's innocent or someone who like helpless in a situation, or they know that they can't fix something, like Iron Giant, for example, like when the giant has to go in the sky, he can't do anything about that. And then like there's, I don't know, other examples of, but yeah, I think it's just children for me for some reason.
I actually keep a list just to be like, so I have something to, reference movies that made me cry. And yeah, looking on this list, it's all kind of the same vein, mostly dramas, mostly historical dramas, like, that actually happened, because I can like kind of feel like, oh shit, this was real.
Mm-hmm.
Those always get me. And then just the occasional Pixar movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I just remembered like an example, like Interstellar. I didn't cry when they were adults and he was crying. I didn't give a shit about that. I cried in the beginning when he had to leave his child and she was like running after him. That made me cry so hard. And that was the beginning of the movie. I was like, oh my God, this is the beginning of the movie.
Upon my most recent watch, I burst into tears at the beginning of The Lion King. As soon as that sunrise starts and Circle of Life starts playing, I was 4 years old again, and I'm just like, it's too much.
There is one exception though. The Crucible. You've seen The Crucible, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
That the ending scene, something got me. I think it's because in that sense he's innocent, like I was saying. Like he's an innocent man and he can't help what happened, you know? So like, yeah.
There's this show I watched, or I used to watch on CW called Legends of Tomorrow. It was a DC Comics time travel show. It was like the B-list characters from Arrow and the Flash got their own show. And there's an episode that was a crossover where they were all fighting like evil Nazi versions of the heroes from another dimension. It's a weird show. And one of the main characters gets mortally wounded. And the kid he's like friends with, the guy who gets wounded is an older guy, an older scientist who befriended this like mechanic because they can combine their energies and become the hero Firestorm. I don't have time to explain. And the older guy is mortally wounded, and he takes the other guy and is like, "Hey, you're like a son to me." And there's this whole speech, and I did not expect it. I did not expect to feel that, and it wrecked me. It got me crying. And I was like, "Touche, shitty teenage soap opera with superheroes. Good job." Yeah, I like a badge of honor. Like that's how I consider it.
Professional like crier goes to Connor.
It's a good feeling. It's it's cathartic.
I mean, you have emotion, which is good.
Yeah.
Like, some people don't care. Like I care half the time. Some people don't care at all, and they just don't have any emotion.
It's wild. I can't imagine not, if I didn't feel something from movies, why the hell would I be doing a podcast about them? Clearly I care. Moving on. Olivia Williams plays Anne Crow, Malcolm's distant wife. Williams has also appeared in such films as The Ghostwriter, In Education, Rushmore, Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll, and she's set to appear in The Father, which comes out this Friday. Expect a possible summation on the sneak preview on Monday. That's our other show. Finally, Donnie Wahlberg plays Vincent Gray, the deeply troubled former patient who shoots Dr. Crow at the beginning. Wahlberg, brother of superstar Mark Wahlberg, is a founding member of the boy band New Kids on the Block and has appeared in such films as Saw 2, 3, and 4, Ransom, Dead Silence, Righteous Kill, and the TV series Blue Bloods, which he has a lead role on. But I don't really watch cop procedurals. I don't know how these shows last 11 seasons.
Yeah.
But Donnie Wahlberg is, it's a brief role, but holy shit, is he good as Vincent at the beginning. Mm-hmm. I mean, you feel that.
Yeah, I thought he was going to come back like later in the film just because of how good his role was. I was like, he's not done, is he? But that happened with the gun.
That actually would have been interesting. He did kill himself. So what if Cole met Vincent? That would have been a very interesting way to go.
Oh yeah, he could have showed up later.
My God. M. Night, why didn't you do that? Oh. The Sixth Sense has an IMDb score of 8.1, which is insanely high, a Rotten Tomatoes score of 86%. It grossed $672 million on a budget of $40 million. It was nominated for 6 Oscars: Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor for Haley Joel Osment, Best Supporting Actors for Toni Collette, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Film Editing. Did not win, was defeated for Best Picture by American Beauty. A great film that has not aged well because Kevin Spacey is a pedophile. Yeah. If you want in-depth analysis on that stuff, check out Oscar Sunday. So let's talk about some stuff we liked from The Sixth Sense. This was your first time with this film, so I'm very intrigued about what you thought. You watch a lot of ghost movies?
Not at all, just a few. Like The Others, which has a twist in it, which is pretty cool. Casper. No, not really.
Oh well. The Others, I wanted to like that movie so much. I've seen it twice now, and it's so boring. I can't. I like the twist, but I knew the twist before I saw the movie, which really
It's more of a drama, right?
I don't know. Horror and drama, I tend to lean towards horror when it's in both those worlds.
Yeah.
It's a good idea, and we will do it on the show at some point, but I don't it's not, it doesn't get me. It doesn't get me. Not like The Sixth Sense gets me. And I don't mean scared me, I mean like draws me in. Yeah, Casper's great. Brag about Casper. It's a great movie. I watch that every Halloween.
So cute. Like the end where he's like, "Can I keep you?" Oh, so cute.
But I like the way that the ghosts are portrayed in this film as not evil, just tortured. You know, these are people who were killed, people who died with unfinished business, and they have no way to move on. And
is this like purgatory, sort of?
So that's kind of the vibe I got. Like, this is where they're trapped until they can move on. And a lot of these people, you know, you get the vibe that this is a rare gift that's might be brought on by trauma, considering Cole and Vincent both had it. But that you know, talking to these people is the only way for these ghosts to move on, and these people are terrified of them. They don't want to talk to them. So it's an interesting way to do ghosts, to not make them inherently scary, but just people who, you know, they just can't. It's broken people. It's very interesting.
I like that they aren't making them to be mean or like evil. There's like so many movies nowadays makes the ghost or the creature, whatever, evil. Doesn't have to be like that. And I like that with what they did with the little girls scene, and that was really cool way to show what happened to her and everything.
Moving on to that real quick, who put the camera there?
That's what I was thinking. And then I asked somebody that, and they were like, well, she was recording her puppet show. And I was like, oh, that makes sense.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. That clears that up. Thank you for that. Yeah, that scene's heartbreaking. That somebody would do that to their own child for attention is so fucked up.
I didn't want to believe it. I was like, is that just syrup? And then nope, I didn't want to believe that. I've never seen anything like that in a movie ever. Like, I don't remember seeing a movie where the parents like do that to their kid.
I've seen well over 2,000 and I think 2,200 movies at this point. A lot of them horror. I have definitely seen that. I've seen a lot of parents want their children dead in movies. It's
like in Hereditary with her, like, that's not when she was like gonna, I think it was a dream sequence and she's like gonna, you know, make her son catch fire and everything. That's the only thing that I've seen.
There was this movie I watched a few years ago called The Harvest. It was Samantha Morton and Michael Fassbender. Not Fassbender, my mistake, Michael Shannon. And they were the parents of this really sick, dying child who they took care of, and they told him, never go outside. Outside is bad for you. And they live in the woods in this isolated cabin, and you get the vibe that something's not right here. And this new family moves in down the road, and the little girl is walking in the woods and sees, you know, another little boy through the window, and it's like, hey, little boy, will you play with me? And the little boy's like, I can't, outside's bad. And she's like, no, it's not. And he's like, yeah, you're right, it's not. So they start playing, and yada, yada, yada. You find out that this kid is not actually their kid. They kidnapped this kid to harvest his organs for their real son who's in the basement.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it took a dark turn.
That is insane. Mm-hmm. What movie is that?
The Harvest.
Wow. Yeah. 70s, 80s?
2013.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. Not bad. I gave it a 7. It was a little slow, but that reveal was pretty big. I was like, whoa, all right. This is that kind of movie. I always love that when a movie's like something and then huge left turn and now it's something else. And you're like, oh shit, this is not what I signed up for, but I'm into this. Those are always fun.
Sometimes slow movies work, sometimes they don't.
I just finished watching a slow movie that I don't want to badmouth because Austin really liked it, but I thought it was okay. And not the podcast for that. Moving on.
Okay.
He's not here, so I don't want to say something bad about his movie. I'd feel bad. Let's talk about the score. James Newton Howard did the score. He does the music for a lot of M. Night Shyamalan's movies, particularly Signs and The Village, 2 scores that I adore. And his music in The Sixth Sense is creepy, but also really sad.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good balance.
Yeah, I really like it. I don't like when there's a scary movie and there's like a scene where they just play super loud music to like make it seem scary. Like I don't know how I have a love-hate relationship with that, because in some cases I'll get scared and I'll be like, they got me, but like and in other cases it just sounds so stupid. And I'm just like, because like the scene and the music, like the scene will be super stupid, but the music will be super scary. So it's like, what the fuck? But I like the sad sound of the score. I like that part a lot, because whenever you hear it, you can probably remember Sixth Sense,
Yeah. So you're not a fan of the blah, as I call it.
The like, no, not really. But I mean, how else are you going to scare people, I guess? I mean, there's other ways, but I guess back then they didn't really know how every trick in the book.
No, I think that happens more now than it ever has. I mean, look at, films like Insidious, The Conjuring. As good as they are so guilty of that. And I don't trust jump scares. Like, I saw somebody once online had said that a jump scare scaring you in a horror movie is the equivalent of a comedian making you laugh by tickling you. Like, it's technically a win, but you didn't earn it.
Yeah. I feel like The Conjuring sort of earns it because they use lighting as like a tactic to make you scared. They'll turn off the light, turn it on again, then you don't know what's in the dark, and then make you use your imagination and stuff. But yeah.
I think it's smarter to, build up to it, to freak an audience out by using atmosphere, music stings that aren't just, in your face jump scares. There's ways to do it. I've seen, movies have done it for decades. Like a movie that I did really early on in the podcast called The Changeling with George C. Scott. It was pretty good. There's a scene in that movie that is one of the scariest scenes ever, and it's all about implication. You don't see anything. You don't hear anything apart from a little giggle. But there's his family gets killed in a car accident. He moves into a mansion and that's haunted, and he decides that the best thing he can do is move on. So he goes out to a bridge and tosses a little rubber ball over the side of the bridge. It was his daughter's favorite toy. Mm-hmm. So he goes home after that. He hears a giggle from upstairs and the ball falls down the stairs.
Oh my God.
Scared the hell out of me. I'm getting chills just talking about it. That's smart filmmaking to make that is a perfect scare, like from beginning to end. So it is possible, and it is, I think, that's the best way to do a horror movie, is to try.
I really like when they use camera angles, and like in this movie you can see some of that, like whenever they're walking, or I think in one scene someone was hiding around a corner, like you could just see part of their face. And I like when people do that to try to scare you, like they use the walls or the camera movement, like they'll move it super slowly around the corner. Mm-hmm. Because you don't know if they're gonna like move the camera quick or like, it's, yeah, I like that.
The scene in Signs with the alien walking across, do you consider that a jump scare?
Yes. I would say yes. Now that, okay. Okay, well, it's not a jump scare because it's not trying to, because it's there. Well, I'm gonna go with yes. Because all jump scares, it's there, but you don't know when it's gonna appear. The alien's there, but you don't know what it's gonna look like or what's gonna happen, so like.
I disagree because in 2002, I don't think anybody knew exactly what we were going to see. I don't think we knew we were going to see an alien. I think, or at least I remember thinking like, what is this? I was bored until that happened. I wasn't really paying attention because I was 7 years old at a PG-13 drama horror that I didn't want to see.
Well, maybe it's because like everyone, because I saw it later than you, maybe people would say, oh, it's an alien movie. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And then that's why. So yeah, I understand that. So nobody knew what was going to be there.
No, that's one of the top scares of the decade. Nobody really knew what to expect there. And the fact that you see it on like a handheld camera for like a second, it was just unheard of at the time. You know, it was new, and new scares people when it comes to horror movies. That's why the Blair Witch Project was such a hit, because nobody had ever done a found footage horror film like that. You know, put you in their shoes, made you think it was real. So yeah, innovation is wildly important in horror movies.
They handle it so realistically in that movie.
Blair Witch Project is one of my greatest regrets on this podcast, because we did it. It was a good episode. The audio is so fucked up. It sounds like we're talking 50 feet away from the microphone.
I've never seen that movie.
It's so creepy. If you really want to maximize the fear on that movie, watch it alone in the dark.
Okay. Because I'm going to be honest, I thought Signs was going to creep me out. It didn't. But like, that's probably because of what I've been watching nowadays. So like, I will do that probably. And that's ironic because it's an older film, and like with the films that you showed me, like what's it called? With Winona Ryder in it.
Beetlejuice?
Yeah, Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice, that movie freaked me out. And then
back up. Beetlejuice freaked you out?
Yes, just one scene freaked me out. Like a lot. Like more than this movie did. Sixth Sense did.
Was it the snake on the stairs?
No.
Oh.
It was the closet part.
When
she rips her friggin' face off.
What the hell is her name? Barbara. When Barbara rips her face off, really, that got you?
Yes, like I think it's a body horror. Yeah, body horror. So.
Fair enough. I mean, it all is about circumstance. Sometimes, you're thinking too hard, or you're not thinking hard enough. Horror can get you when you least expect it. That's the whole point about being scared. You don't expect to be scared. I mean, I guarantee you, if I watched Evolution for the first time today, that monkey not going to do anything to me. I guarantee you. But 6 years old, big screen, not expecting it, scarred for life. So, yeah.
It's making me think that horror is all just in your mind. Like maybe I got scared of that movie just because I put it in my head that I was going to be scared.
Yeah. Horror is entirely psychological. That's why what scares the hell out of you may not scare the hell out of me, and what scares the hell out of me may not scare the hell out of you. It's entirely subjective more than any other genre. It's kind of amazing. We just made a major breakthrough. All right. Cool. So a couple other scenes I'd like to bring up about Sixth Sense. So Malcolm has been dead for about a year. That means he hasn't spoken with another human being in a year, because nobody can see him.
Mm-hmm.
So how does he not realize that something's wrong? You ever been ignored by everybody for a year? Doesn't happen.
I feel like the movie did say you only see what you want to see. I feel like if you're in purgatory, you're almost like in a dream, and you almost want to see what you want to see. Like in a dream, you see this kid and he's talking to you, but no one else is, because he's your client, right? So of course he's going to talk to you. So I think they did really well with that. Okay, so here's what happened. I was watching the beginning. He gets shot. And I look over to who I'm watching the movie with. And I'm like, did he die? And he's like, just watch.
Oh, well, that's the wrong answer.
And then
That's gonna ruin the whole movie.
the next scene, he's alive, right? I think, is this the same guy? Like, I'm I'm confused as hell. I'm like, is this the same guy? I guess it is. I guess he's alive. And so, like, I'm sitting there watching him. He goes to dinner with, or, misses dinner with his wife. It almost feels real, like he's actually there, because she's at dinner. Why else would she be at dinner alone? So, like, I was like, okay, I guess he's alive. And then, yeah. So the movie did well with making me believe he was alive.
Yeah. It's very well done in that respect. The one hole in it, I think, is the fact that he never talks to Cole's mom about anything. Because that's the biggest. Yeah, you can't just start talking to some kid as a child psychologist. You have to talk to their parents.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what they could have done is they could have made him talk to her, but she's so depressed or whatever, or she's so sad with the situation that she's like talking to herself. She's like, I don't know what to do anymore. She could say stuff like that and he'd be like, here, I'll help, whatever. So I feel like they could have filled that hole maybe in one scene. Yeah. But yeah, I do see what you're saying. Like, he didn't talk to anybody with the kid, so.
They could have made The Gift, pardon the pun, hereditary, and had her also be able to talk to dead people and not realize it. I don't know. I don't write the movies. I just talk about them. The scene that really freaked me out the first time I watched this was the scene at the birthday party when Cole gets locked in the little room.
I hate that scene. It reminds me of my childhood. Not that I got locked in things, but like, there's some mean kids, Like, there were kids like that were at my school.
Kids are the worst. And this kid is just, to take a troubled kid and lock him in a room. But you are like, I think at that point, you don't know that this is a ghost movie if you haven't seen a trailer or ever heard about this movie. So that's kind of a big shock, is hearing like weird, disembodied voices coming from this closet. And then the kid locked in there and freaking the fuck out. Like, you paint your own mental picture of what's going on in there, and it's not good.
Yeah. I forgot what that ghost said, but like, do you remember what he said?
Something like, I did not drop the cup, or I don't know. It was some sounded like a slave saying something about the mistress. I did not touch the master's horse or some shit. I don't remember, but it was in that ballpark. When I was a kid, I saw this movie for the first time when I was about 9, I think. I love my parents to death, but they did not make very good decisions on what to show me as a child.
Yeah.
I had a lot of nightmares as a kid. I still have a weird monkey issue I got to work through. But the scene where Cole's in the tent and the flaps on the top of the tent start breaking, and it pans down and there's a little girl with like shit falling out of her mouth. Whew. That wrecked me as a child. I was like, I'm checking out. I didn't see the rest of the movie at that point. I was like, I'm out, and I walked out and had nightmares.
Yeah, that's really freaky if you don't know a lot about horror movies, because believe me, if I watched this movie like a year or 2 years ago, that scene probably I would have been in the same boat as you. But I think doing this podcast has helped me a bit, and so like, I didn't flinch. I was just like, oh, it's like she's vomiting or something. I'm like, oh, she's sick. She needs water. I don't know.
But this podcast, I am on the constant quest for something that's going to freak me out. I want to be scared again. It's been a while. I think the last movie on this podcast that really like got under my skin was either Itchy the Killer or The Brood. And those were like, almost a year ago. I need some refreshment here. So I'm constantly trying to find stuff that I think is going to fuck with my head, because it's so rare, because I'm so desensitized. And
Oh, I'm getting there too. Probably not because I haven't seen Saw. So
that's nothing. I could watch Saw like in the middle of the night with a smoothie. It's nothing anymore.
I know. To me, I can't. I would vomit that smoothie.
No, Hostel. Yeah, that's a rough watch. That I can't watch with food. But the Saw franchise I find almost hilarious at times. I'm looking forward to the new one. I'm going to be there as soon as, it comes out. I will be there. Spiral, counting down the days. But yeah, it's just, I've seen so many horror movies. I've seen them so many times. I know what to expect now. I can kind of tell when something scary is about to happen. Sucks. I want to be scared. So I'll keep y'all updated on what I find, because I am watching a lot of shit in my spare time too. So if I find something that, freaks me out, makes me go into a friggin' coma, y'all will be the first to know. I just reminisce about the times where, I was a kid and these movies scared the absolute hell out of me.
I used to be afraid of the Goonies.
How?
I think it was like the skeleton piano scene. I was like, oh my God, that's so scary. They're gonna die.
I don't.
She plays 3 notes, not even the full song, and they're out.
Yeah, that was always kind of cheap. There's no way those like ropes are holding up after like 500 years. I don't know. Whatever. The Goonies is awesome. One of my all-time favorites, and not really that scary. Except for the deleted scene with the octopus. That was weird.
What?
Yeah. You ever notice at the end when they're like getting interviewed by the local news that Data says the octopus was really scary? And they're like, octopus? They left that in by accident because there was a scene in the movie where when they fall down the chute and end up in the water and they see the pirate ship, a giant octopus comes out of nowhere and tries to eat them.
Oh, wow.
And they only stop it by shoving a Walkman in its mouth. Because this was the 80s.
I feel like they should have kept it.
Yeah, I don't really know why they took that out, but didn't take out the line. But I love the Goonies. So, without further ado, the twist. Bruce Willis was dead the whole time. Whoa. Yeah. It's only been, 22 years since this came out? And that blew people's minds. This was like one of the biggest plot twists in history. Right up there with Luke, I am your father. Like, this was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why M. Night became established as the director with a twist, because every movie after this had a twist, and some of them sucked. Like, The Village gets a lot of shit. I don't think it deserves that shit. I think that movie's really good. But have you seen that one?
Mm-mm.
All right, well, the twist in that one's, I liked it. A lot of people were pissed. They thought it was a cop-out.
Wait, is this one the one about the goat, like the black goat, devil?
No, that's The Witch. That wasn't M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh.
The Village is this people in like the 1870s living in, harmony in this little village in the woods, and they don't allow the color red anywhere in the village. If they see red, they take it down, they lock it away, because there are things in the woods that are attracted to red and will kill. And the whole movie is, we love our village, we love our people, but do not speak of the things in the woods.
Is this the one where the village is like in modern day?
There you go. That's the movie.
I haven't seen it, but I know the twist.
Yeah. And there's no things in the woods. It's the local people. It's the village elders trying to keep people in line by dressing up in big costumes.
That's crazy.
And it turns out they're living in 2004.
That's so crazy.
See, I thought that was cool, but a lot of people were like, bullshit. I wanted scary monsters.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought so. So yeah, he's become that guy, the guy with the twist, because his first movie had such a massive twist that became kind of his signature. But But I think it works. I think, the ending of this movie, the double shotgun blast of Cole and his mom in the car, and then Malcolm saying goodbye to his wife. I can't breathe at the end of this movie. I'm crying so hard. It's so sad.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful movie.
I really like when her ring like falls off or something. Or was that his ring that fell off? I'm confused.
It was his.
His ring fell. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, and then her breath was all cold. I think that was the moment when she was like in the couch where she was sleeping. I think that was a moment where I thought maybe he's dead because that guy like just left his house and she's asleep. Like she's not even worried that he's gonna come back.
Yeah, it's funny. The whole time you're thinking like she's just a really mean wife, but no, she's in mourning. It really kind of puts the whole film in perspective. Like she misses him like crazy and she can't move on. Like, and he can't move on because she's not okay. He can't move on until he helps Cole and he makes sure she's okay. That's all he wanted out of life, to help children and to make sure that she knew he loved her. Oh God.
That's super sweet.
It's coming back.
I did think that she was bad because of the other guy. I did because I thought he was alive, I thought she was being a bad wife and just like ungrateful. So it got me. It still, even though I knew there was a twist, it still got me, even though.
Yeah. It's amazing. I always forget the end of this film is so damn sad. And it's a wonderful movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But
well, everyone knows what happened now.
That's the thing. Everybody does know what happened because the phrase Bruce Willis was dead the whole time became synonymous with the plot twist. You're the only person who somehow escaped that.
I almost got spoiled because before I watched this movie on Valentine's Day, my boyfriend was like, "Can we watch 50 First Dates?" I was like, "Sure, I've never seen it." And Sixth Sense is in that movie.
Oh shit! See, that's another thing you got to worry about. It became part of pop culture after that.
Yeah. I was like, why of all movies, Sixth Sense is in an Adam Sandler romantic rom-com movie? Because it's so popular.
I would have been so pissed if a week before we did this, you got the movie spoiled by watching an Adam Sandler movie. Oh, God. So here are some Filmgazm facts about The Sixth Sense. Number one, this was the first of two movies that Bruce Willis owed Disney, who produced this movie, through a shell company. Bruce Willis caused another production, the Broadway Brawler, to be shut down due to him firing the director. He also was paid $10 million, half of his usual salary at the time. So Bruce Willis is one of those actors who can just fire the director. And
he fired the director
of a movie called the Broadway Brawler. And because he fucked up that production, he owed Disney two movies. One was The Sixth Sense, and I think the other one was The Kid. I might be wrong about that. But I think it's weird that Disney produced this. You don't see it. Like,
it's weird.
Yeah, Walt Disney Pictures is not on the film because they have an image to maintain. Can't be making ghost movies. And I think it was through Spyglass or Touchstone, one of those. But yeah, they're doing the same thing now through Searchlight Pictures after they bought Fox. Number two, Toni Collette has said that she was so moved by the emotional resonance of the story while filming that she did not even realize it was a horror film until after its release. She thought she was making a movie about a single mom and her son just trying to get through life. She didn't realize she was making a ghost movie.
Wow. Well, so like they don't tell the actors like what it's about. They just hand them the script and like, here you go, just be an actor, actress.
Well, it depends on how involved they are. Like sometimes, there'll be an actor will spearhead the project. They'll write, they'll direct, or they'll be, super involved. Sometimes it's a paycheck gig and they just read their part. Depends on the actor, really. And I think that, on paper, The Sixth Sense probably doesn't sound like a horror movie. It's all about direction and how they film it. I bet this became a horror movie during production. And that's another thing that's really tough with horror is, being scary is not easy. It's scaring people is not easy,
Mm-hmm.
It's all about, a lot of goes into it, the script, certainly, actors' reactions, direction, camera angles, cinematography, digital effects, all of that has to work together to create a good scare.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult. That's why I don't like when people just kind of shut horror out as just a, not important genre. If anything, it might be the most important, considering how creative you really have to be to pull this off.
True.
Number 3, this was the first of several horror films that would establish Toni Collette as a scream queen. She would go on to appear in high-profile horror movies Fright Night, Krampus, and Hereditary. Yeah, the mantle of scream queen is pretty cool to have. It's an actress who's appeared in a bunch of horror movies.
What's a scream queen?
An actress.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Because I was like, is she the queen of screaming? Like,
the term scream queen.
I do gotta say though, I like her screams because she's not like in goofy scary movies where they their screams last super long. It's like, okay, we get it, you're scared. She's just like like a realistic scream.
Yeah. It's that term kind of showed up in the 70s because a lot of actresses were doing similar productions, and there's a way to label actresses who were doing a lot of horror movies. Like Jamie Lee Curtis is probably the most famous scream queen. Halloween, The Fog, Prom Night, like she did a lot. So it's still around. They did a TV show on MTV called Scream Queens. It was like a parody of movies like that. Didn't last very long. Number 4, I thought this was very interesting. The Sixth Sense was the second highest grossing film of 1999, behind Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. So 1999, it was Star Wars, and then it was The Sixth Sense. That's amazing that a horror drama was the second highest grossing film of the year.
Wow.
Yeah. Of course, back then, we didn't have, 3 or 4 superhero movies coming out every week. And there wasn't, Pixar was still figuring it out. Disney was kind of entering a slump. So Star Wars was kind of it that year for big stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. It makes me wonder what other movies are coming out during this year. Was this the 90s or
99?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
99, I think, is one of the best years of film, but a lot of the films I like of that year weren't particularly successful. There are a lot of, comedies and dramas and just stuff that resonated with me, but didn't really make back box office bucks. Like, Galaxy Quest and Fight Club and Office Space and some, movies are like that. I give The Sixth Sense a 9. It's a phenomenal ghost story, but also a brilliant drama and character study. The ending gets me every time, and I highly recommend you all check it out if you haven't already.
I give The Sixth Sense an 8. I think it's just because I don't know. I think it's really good. It's really it's slow, but it's slow in a good way. It's not slow where I'm like, where's the fun part? No way. I really like how the pacing is in this movie. I like the actors and the actresses. I love the story of the therapist, and Toni Collette was great, and the kid was really great. He was I loved his facial expressions and how he was he had so much emotion when he was I see dead people. He looked so nervous in his performances. He was nervous they're gonna come get him. It was so believable. So yeah. I think maybe I'd give it an 8 just because it didn't wow me, but that's probably because I knew there was gonna be a twist. So yeah.
Right on. Yeah. Haley Joel is pretty remarkable in this film. A lot of kids aren't the best actors because they're children and they're still figuring it out. But some catch it almost immediately and are incredible at such a young age. He was 11 years old when he did this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's amazing. Kid has an Oscar nomination at 11 years old. That's remarkable. That year, he could have won. I haven't seen Michael Caine in the Cider House Rules, but I personally, from that year, from the nominees, would have given it to Michael Clark Duncan for The Green Mile. But that is a conversation for Oscar Sunday. That's all for this week, ladies and gents. Hope you enjoyed it. It won't be the last time we talk about M. Night Shyamalan's work, that's for sure. Next week is very special. It's the 2-year anniversary of the Filmgazm podcast. Last year, on our 1-year anniversary, Austin and I redid the first episode of the show, The Shining, and talked about how far we'd come. This year, Austin will be returning to the show, where we will be doing a countdown of the 20 scariest movies we've covered on the podcast thus far. We'll also reflect on everything the Filmgazm team accomplished the past year, the new shows we've started, the friends we've added to the team, and what our hopes and plans are for the future. It's sure to be a blast. Don't miss it. Also, be sure to check out our look into John Cassavetes' drama Faces on Oscar Sunday and a fully loaded sneak preview on Monday. Until then, if you see dead people, you may be the only one who can help them find peace. See you next Wednesday, and keep watching movies.